We mentioned before we started about like people who are trying to make like super clickbait content and then get you into ropey degenerate trading courses. What would be your advice in terms of like you speak to a lot of entrepreneurs about finding the right vehicle for you?
Yeah, I think it's generally going back to the same old day and age thing of business, the same old concept and principles, should we say, of finding the opportunity, gap in the market and going for it, wherever it may be. It could be freaking manufacturing concrete, or it could be manufacturing glass, whatever it is. I think if you find a gap in the market and you've got a place for it and you see yourself doing it and it makes money, then do it. I think we're in this day and age right now where people think to do business, it has to be an online business, it has to be AI, it has to be this, it has to be that. Those brick and mortar businesses are always going to be around. And I think if you can find an opportunity within that and go back to the basics of business, of gap in the market, finding an opportunity, with a little bit of luck, of course, you will have a solid, incredible business. But that's if you want that business. Some people want to go the online route. Some people want to be famous. Some people want to be influencers. So it really all depends on your personality type, what type of business you want for yourself.
I think there's also a lot to be said about careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
Like people want to be famous, but then would you want to be Cristiano Ronaldo level of famous? You can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Because although you got everything, you're also kind of a bit of a prisoner in the same way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you may have everything, but you can't have nothing really, because you want to go to Namos, you got to book out the whole restaurant. Do you know what I mean? So it can get long.
So looking back, you started your podcast, 6 years ago? I think when I looked on YouTube earlier.
Yeah, 6 years ago, yeah.
Did you think you'd be where you are now when you first pressed publish on the first video?
If you told me 6 years ago that I'd be in the position that I'm in today, I'd say, Charlie, you're absolutely having a laugh, right? I would never have imagined it, because I suppose this kind of goes into the whole idea of why I got into the podcast in the first place. My idea for the podcast was purely to find the business that I like, start that business, and the podcast was going to be scrapped off. So say, for example, I was working a job in a company called BT, right? And I was fed up with the job. So I would go to people like yourself, Charlie, and be like, look, how did you get into fitness? You know, maybe I should be a fitness coach. Let me interview Charlie and see if fitness is for me, then I'll do it. Or, you know, if I wanted to be a videographer, let me go and interview someone who does that. And then once I pick the business, forget the podcast, because now I've got the business and that's that. So if you had asked me if this is where the podcast would be today, in my head, the podcast was going to be scrapped off in the first year, bro. And I was going to be a millionaire sitting on a beach with a concrete company. So, yeah.
So in terms of like the growth with that, then was there a pivotal moment that you realized you were kind of onto something? Because I don't know if this relates to you, but for me personally, I was like, I like building businesses. I don't like running them. And I think actually like the most exciting part of the journey is when you first start, like you see that click and you're like, fuck, this is actually going to work. I can do this.
Do you know what? I'm 100% the same. I'm more excited about the journey and stuff like that. And I'm not saying the journey for CEO Cast has ended, but for example, I'm starting a secondary podcast called CEO Cast Extra. I'm a little bit more excited for that because it's at the beginning, pivotal phase again, where you got to build everything and stuff. And so that makes me more excited. But was there ever a moment where I thought, you know, this could be something? I suppose maybe 10 podcasts in, when I started getting decent amount of guests. And I'm not talking like your Tate levels. I'm just talking about just normal people, and then the snowball keeps going, and then the big guests get bigger and bigger each time. So it kind of felt like, yeah, this could be something.
And for people who are listening to this, like everyone's told, start a podcast, build your personal brand. Like I love Dan Priest, he's a good friend of mine. Mm-hmm. Do you think everyone should be trying to start a podcast? I don't think, in my opinion, I think it's a great tool to have, but I also think I don't know what the statistic is. I think most people start a podcast and they do 3 episodes. Mm-hmm. So like you have to be in it for like kind of like the long game.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
It's my approach for everything. It's just like, just do like ridiculous amounts of volume and eventually you get good at the thing.
Yeah. I believe that people can start a podcast if they want, right? There's space for it and stuff like that. But that's if they want to start a podcast. I think a podcast, let's forget the whole business side of things. I think the biggest benefit of a podcast is being able to connect and network with so many people all over the world.
Bro, 1,000%.
Yeah. So I think regardless of what business you're in or what industry you have, whatever it may be, if you have a podcast, the connections and the doors you open up are insane. Do you know what I mean? I don't have a business outside of the podcast, but I have connections all over the world as if I have branches of some sort of business around there. So I think for those reasons, everyone should start a podcast. But should everyone have a personal brand? that's entirely up to them, because I kind of put them as different perspectives.
Now, if you enjoyed this clip and you're a coach, creator, or a business owner and you want help in terms of how to scale your business using ads, AI, content, marketing, a lot of things we talk about on the show, then hit the link at the top line of our description in the YouTube video. You can book on a call with us and we'll walk through the whole process, audit your business, and show you where there's huge, huge opportunities for you to scale.